welcome back to the stage. Oh, can you hear me? Am I good? All right, just want to make sure. To the stage. Welcome back to the stage of history, everybody. My name is DuckiePlz. I will be your dungeon master this evening as we begin our adventure through Waterdeep Dragon Heist, a 5th edition adventure. It's been a long time in the making. I'm very excited to get started with everyone. I hope you guys are excited as I am. So let's have some fun, play some games, and roll some dice, shall we?
I'm so ready.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. So let us start by going to our to where the backdrop of our story will be taking place. We are heading to the city of Waterdeep. An ancient city filled to the brim with magic. A long-standing place of great history and immaculate people. The city of Waterdeep lies along the Xianthar River on the Sword Coast and is one of the major cities that lies here in the world of Faerun. Adventurers from all over gather here for many reasons, each of you having your own, whether it be to start a new life, to find yourselves, or perhaps find your fortune. Our tale begins on the city streets with a lone young elvish man with a brown mop top wandering the streets. He seems rather carefree and is searching his way through the wards to find the yawning portal. Pepper, why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit about your character?
Okay, so I am Pepper. I don't really know too much about my birth family, per se, because my village of elves was raided at a young age, but I was taken in by a group of human monks, and they raised me, and they taught me the ways of martial combat through hand-to-hand combat, and also through finding like inner peace and everything like that, all that good stuff. But as some of you may know, humans and elves age quite differently. So as I was starting to show signs of like being in my mid to late 20s possibly, my elders were getting older and older, and they decided it was finally time for me to go on a journey to kind of find my own meaning within myself. And that's kind of what I was doing here. But along the way, I was contacted. Someone sent me a letter. See if I can dig that letter out. They sent me a letter. Someone named Yagra told me to meet them at the Yawning Portal. And Pepper, I'll say, is not the most well-versed in worldly things. So the idea of a bar not being something named literal and the Yawning Portal being the name of a bar is kind of foreign. So Pepper doesn't really know what he's looking for in the city. Perhaps it's a big portal, like a literal portal, or, something like that. But just kind of like running through the city, being overwhelmed by all the sights and sounds because I'm not really used to this. I'm just trying to make my way.
Okay. We'll say that Pepper is on his way through the northern ward here, the northern half of the castle ward, taking in the sights and sounds. You see children playing in the street, a few nobles taking an evening stroll. You know that it's about time that that you meet up with your contact, Yagra, if I remember incorrectly. But you seem to be just a tad lost. What does Pepper do?
So I start to kind of make it known that I'm kind of confused. I just kind of stop in my tracks and just spin around real quick, do a 360. Like, oh man, everything really looks the same to me. Like, I don't see any trees. I don't see any like natural markings that I could use to like locate myself. And I start to kind of walk up to people and like I'm assuming there are people like bustling in the streets a little bit. And I'm trying to see like, does anyone know where this thing is? Like, just trying to figure out like where I'm at, like orientation wise, I guess,
Okay.
or which direction I need to head.
You take a look around and you try to get somebody's attention to hopefully assist you in finding your way to this strange yawning portal that they keep talking of. You find there is a rather imposing figure standing at the street corner, clad in silver armor with a red cloak. He is beset with two other figures beside him, humanoid, that are also wearing a very similar but less elaborate armor. You immediately clock that these are the city watch, usually there to help protect the peace. You see that they have taken spot of you, they spot you and they wave you over.
Okay, so I stumble over towards the city watch, like kind of still spinning my head around, looking at everything, and I ask because you said it was one tall one with like flanked by two other ones, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I asked the tall one, excuse me, I'm supposed to meet someone at something called a yawning portal. Do you know where that is?
Yawning portal. Ah, you must mean the tavern. Yes. Here, let me see. I'll mark it on your map. And you see he takes the map from you, or shows you one of the personal maps that he has here, and he hands it to you. What you're going to do is you're going to follow down the Street of Silver, and you're going to look for it on your left-hand side.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
It's
okay,
a
yeah,
large cavern. You'll see it with the large wizard's face, and you won't be able to mistake the sounds coming from inside.
so
Good deal?
real quick,
Hmm?
it's not an actual portal.
Well, not particularly. You see, it's called that because of the. Well, you'll figure it out when you get there. Just head down the Street of Silver on your left. You'll find it no problem.
Okay, I thank him and kind of bow my head a little bit and just kind of stuff the paper back in my bag.
All right. Pepper gathers the map, shoves it inside of his bag, and continues forward on his way to the Yawning Portal Tavern, hopefully in the correct direction. As Pepper makes their way through the city, we will head towards the northern ward, where a young man who is cloaked head to toe in tattered rags, obscuring his face and the rather imposing large sword that he is carrying on his back, walks silently through the streets. Ara, if you wouldn't mind telling us about your character.
All right. So my character doesn't remember much about his childhood. As far as he's concerned, he's always been supervised by a group of people who all look similarly imposing, with masks on them and all that, that we always referred to as a cadre. The only thing that I ever only knew growing up was one, there's no sense of individuality with where they're at. Two, the other people that he stayed with were his brothers, all like 60 of them. And three, for 6 days a week, if they're not like sparring or training on weapons, they're reading on how to be better fighters. The one day of the week when they're not doing any of those, they're either sparring or fighting 6 days of the week. The one rest day that they have is dedicated to either maintaining their weapons or reading up on how to be a better fighter or whatnot. the entire time that Ara grew up, the cadre has only ever told him and his brothers that they are being prepared for a greater purpose and that they need to be as sharp as the weapons that they maintain. Over time, though, as Ara grew up, and as he got sick and tired of the monotony, basically, of always eating the same meals breakfast, lunch, dinner, basically being the top in his class because he was able to learn quick whenever it came to weapons or whatnot. He started sneaking into what's referred to as the more general library in the camp they're at and started reading more about the world outside of where he was born in and came to find out about a place called Waterdeep that might be the closest that he could travel to, basically promising him a world beyond just like what he knew growing up. Um, he started gathering his belongings, like putting them away to make sure that they couldn't be inspected, and basically plotted his escape from the camp after volunteering to be a watch guard for the base. During a stormy evening, stowing on a boat or a ship, and basically landing just a few days ago to Waterdeep. Not entirely sure of what he wants to do. He wants to learn more about the world, but if he can't do that, then he can at the very least see if he can learn more techniques and fight other people and become a better fighter.
Excellent. You're traveling down the northern ward streets of Waterdeep, mostly to yourself. People part their ways in the street to give you room to walk through, as you are a intimidating figure at first, until something hits your leg. You notice a small tan ball filled with air resting at your feet, and just a few feet in front of you, a group of small children stare at you, look down at the ball, and then back to you. What do you do?
I bend down, being careful to pick up the ball with just my left hand, and then inspect it very carefully to ensure that there's no markings on it or anything that would make it dangerous to me.
Okay.
Then I very sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to go ahead. I mean, like get ahead of you, but like then I very slowly and carefully give it back to the child or the closest child that came for it.
Okay. So you pick up the ball, you give it a quick glance over. Nothing nothing of great interest or import, no markings, no knives, nothing of danger to you or the children in the immediate area, just a simple plaything. You see the smallest of the children steps forward and reaches out his hand for it back, and you place it gently back in the palm of his hands. He smiles and he says, "Thank you, sir," and he runs back to his group of friends. And they disappear off into one of the alleys, continuing their rambunctious behavior. You continue down through the North Ward, and you are making your way slowly to the other side of the Castle Ward, just walking along the path. And the rest of your journey is mostly undisturbed. We make our way now to the Field Ward, the highest northern point of the city, deep in the shadows, along some of the alleyways and back ends. There's a small, diminutive figure in a strange-looking cloak, oddly humanoid in most ways, but if you really look hard, you can tell that something isn't quite right. This figure slips off into one of the alleyways and digs a small hole into the ground to reveal a small treasure chest. Upon opening it, the creature looks at its treasure, a box of oddly colored and shiny stones that they have collected for quite some time. Ook, would you please describe your character?
Okay, so is this metagame or just my actual full backstory?
Just a simple metagame. Tell us a little bit about your character, and then what you're doing before you make your way to the Yawning Portal Tavern.
Okay, so my character was originally just an animal in the jungle. My character's always had Ook has always had a fascination with stones or anything shiny. So one day in the forest, he picked up a bright yellow stone, and suddenly he was able to hear a voice talk to him. He gained consciousness, and he realized that upon touching the stone, he unintentionally made a pact with an eldritch god. So this eldritch god lives in him, and Ook is constantly fighting the urges of this eldritch god. He has dreams at night where he hears this thing talk about resurrection and the day it comes back. So Ook goes around to silence his voice by collecting as many stones as he can, while constantly fighting the urge between being an animal and being whatever this god is trying to force him to be. And I have made my way to Waterdeep. Hold on, pulling up my.
Mhm.
Where is it? I made my way to Waterdeep because I got a letter from someone named Three Strings that told me that they had they were there to help me with the treasure that I'm in search of. So I made my way to Waterdeep for that.
Fantastic. You take a look at your small collections of stones. You feel an ease come over you by looking at this small little treasure pile. The voice is calming down ever so slightly. Upon hearing someone from behind you, you hurriedly cover your treasure back up and make a way from the alleyway. As you are coming into the city proper, you make your way past some of the guards. Let me put this here for you. And you enter in the northern part of the North Ward. As you are traversing down the streets, no one bats an eye at you. They don't look at you any differently. They assume you to be just one of them. And then you see it out of the corner of your eye. There is an elderly man who seems to have a small, round kind of jewel sitting in his lap. He's sitting at a nearby cafe spot, completely unaware to the world around him, just sipping a tea. You see the stone, and it calls to you. What do you do?
I cast Mage Hand.
You cast Mage Hand, okay?
I cast Mage Hand.
You duck behind a nearby trash can to obscure yourself, and you cast the spell Mage Hand, a semi-translucent hand mimicking your own floats there in the air. It's within grabbing distance of the stone.
And I make an attempt to grab the stone, like just to grab it as fast as I can.
Okay. I want you to go to your character sheet and roll a sleight of hand check for me.
Okay.
First roll of the campaign.
Let's go.
How do I do the roll?
So you will just click on the skill itself, and it should roll it normally.
Okay, normal roll.
Nice.
No
That's
way.
20.
Good sign.
Good start. Good start. So you see as you manipulate this floating hand to gently pick up this shining, glowing stone from this man's lap and gently float it back over to yourself. You hold it in your hands. It's quite weighty to you, and it feels good. It feels calming to you to hold. Sated again, you place the stone in your pocket, and you hurry down the street to get to the castle ward, where the yawning portal awaits. Lastly, over in the trade ward, a young man dressed in holy vestments with a slight glow to his eyes approaches the river gate. He is what would one call an imposing figure, but there's a gentle aura about him. You see in his hand he holds a holy symbol of his god and wields a pack on his back and a letter clutched in his other hand. Petronius, if you wouldn't mind telling us about your character.
Vetronius, this man. Man whose life was made to only serve the Unkek, the god of healing. Since birth. Of course, throughout his life, he's only made to go through churches, on his way to be accepted as the ultimate servant, loyal servant of this god that he this healing god. Or of course, the years growing up, he only knew about service and loyalty for the greater good, to refrain from dwelling with some, they say, non-believers. Some
I think you're cutting out for me
Uh-oh.
just a little bit. I think
a little bit. Testing 1 2. Might check 1 2. Can you hear me now?
Kirk, you still there?
Hold on. Testing 1 2. Oh wait, give me 1 second.
Your voice is cutting out a little bit. I don't know if it's like the Discord noise gate or something, but
It's
it's
the
cutting you out.
I think it is. The stream sounds fine. Is it?
Okay, so it's just in Discord.
Yeah, it's a Discord. It'll give it a little second. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Can you still hear me? I don't want to. Hold on. Let me do this. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and try to restart my Discord. Running just well.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's just cutting you out.
Yeah.
At like the peak of when you're speaking.
Okay. Let me go ahead and restart this. All right. Hold on, y'all. Do a little commercial break right quick. Be right back. Hey, so my Discord needed an update, apparently. So, trying to get back into it. Which is weird, because I actually had it up and running, and I tried to restart everything, make sure everything was good. But apparently it's not. Give it a minute.